What up, y'all? Out here working on cleaning engine parts for that. So earlier today we ran out to my buddy's house and I got some parts off of him to help rebuild this other motor. So in here is another rotor to replace the one where we broke, and then this is a good housing, another NA S4 housing that we're going to use. One of the things you gotta worry about when you build these, just another tips and tricks if you're not or if you're buying used parts or whatever, there is a difference between S4 and S5 NA housings, and basically if you look, this has this like ridge here, and then also it has the diffuser in it. The diffuser means that it's an NA, and then the ridge we have found to be a Series 4. Now there is a difference in the location of the spark plugs from Series 4 to Series 5, so you want to make sure that they match up because the distance between them can be different, and as we're finding out right here right now, it looks like this one doesn't match that one. Shoot. Okay, well, let me come and look at the actual engine here real quick. Well, I need to check the distance between the two plugs to make sure that the distance between those two plugs and these are the same, because we might have an issue. That could have been why it got jacked up. So I'm going to measure these off real quick. We'll be back. Got the housings together. Turns out, not the right one. So I got to go back over to Charles sometime, or meet up with him and grab a different one. I actually think that this is a turbo housing because it's got a port for a knock sensor. I knew that some of the NA stuff came with those. I think Series 5s had a knock sensor on it too, but I don't know. We just grabbed one. I'm going to try to match it up. So, got the wrong one. But anyways, the rotor, which is the right rotor, is out of the soaking mess. I got a lot of the carbon out of the side seal grooves. And right now I got some degreaser on them. I'm going to scrub it with a brush, try to get this thing cleaned up, and then I'll hit it with a wire wheel, release the faces, kind of get the rest of that junk off, make it look pretty, just like this one was before we broke it, and should be good to go on that. So I'm going to get that cleaned up, and we will be finding another housing tomorrow to get clean, and I guess I'll be stacking this one later this week. Alright, y'all, got this rotor cleaned up. So right here's the new rotor for the motor. Looking fresh. Got all the apex seal grooves clean. One thing that gotta always make sure of is that you can put an apex seal in and it slides right through with no issues, otherwise it won't work in the engine. So you do that for each one of them, which I already did all of them. Same thing with the side seals. Just take an old side seal and clean it out. Corner seals are hard, usually like a screwdriver or a pick. Got to get all the gunk and grime and stuff out of there. And then the oil control ring grooves are pretty easy. They're about the same width as the side seal, so you can use them to clean it. Otherwise, this thing's looking pretty good this week for sure. I need to go to Charles' house and get some parts from him so I can fix this dang thing. So I went over there today and grabbed a housing, but it doesn't match, so we gotta get a new one. But yeah, always something at the Rad Ranch. Hey y'all, we're out here getting ready to slap this housing on this motor. It's for this car. So we got the rotor cleaned up earlier. We got white grease on the bearings. We got all the seals in the rotor besides apex seals. We got new coolant seals in it. Not gonna reuse the ones that were there. I just put new ones in because they were all dirty and nasty. You see, all that's all clean. We got fresh housing over here, fresh off the rack. As you can see, looks fantastic. No major issues at all. Both studs are good. All that's good. Still got to put the block off in for the OMP. Here's the old one. So this paint is dry enough. So I just painted that probably 2 hours ago. So we're gonna go ahead and slap this housing on and get this baby stacked up the rest of the way. We got the housing in. We got all the apex seals in. We got all the little corner of the apex seal pieces in. Reason for the grease is so that whenever I put this rear iron on, if it hits, sometimes these will pop up since they're spring loaded in there. And if you don't have grease on them, they'll pop up and then they'll end up in here for sure, because they always go in the coolant jacket. And then you have to take the motor back apart to fish them out if you're a good engine builder. If you're not a good engine builder and you just leave them in there for the next guy and go get more corners and keep putting the motor together, well, you are the bane of me taking engines apart, because I find that more often than not with rebuilt engines is that people lose parts down in here when they're putting them together, and then they just leave them in there and keep going. So that's the way to prevent it. I'm going to set this rear plate on here. We got oil control rings in, side seals in, corners and springs, all the assorted goodies. Don't forget these O-rings on the dowel pins because they will leak oil. And then we got the front iron up here with the coolant seals in it. Some high tack in there to hold them in, and we're just going to pop this baby back on. Stoked. It's a complete engine now. So I didn't really film anything as far as torquing all these down. Y'all can look up the torque order on the internet or pause the video right here. Boom. Another important thing, oil control ring direction. Also how to put the front end together. Eric's Rotary Quick Tips. But anyways, we're back live. Engine's back together. Should be good to go. Just gotta get it kind of buttoned up here, put the flywheel and the clutch on. I'm gonna pull the front cover off and check the timing. So there's a little twirly looking gear in there, which I may have one sitting in here, readily available. Yeah, right here. So there's a twirly looking gear. Notice the chamfer on the edge. It's probably hard to see. There you go. And that this edge doesn't have it. So when you build the engine, the chamfered edge goes down. If it's sitting with the front facing up, chamfered edge goes down. I don't know if whenever I put this together if I put it in the right way. So if it's flipped around backwards, it's going to throw your timing off pretty good. Might be why the timing was off really good in this. We out here got the front cover off now, and as it turns out, pulled this gear off and I had it on backwards. Chamfered edge was facing out. You can see the chamfer right there. We're going to go ahead and put that facing down. Oh, get on there. Here we go. Just like that. Now I'm going to clean the front cover, clean that off, re-RTV it, button this whole engine up, get the oil pan back on, get the water pump back on, get it ready to go back in the car. And then, yeah, maybe we'll put it in the car tonight, but most likely not because it is late and I am exhausted. Alright y'all, so tightening down the oil pan bolts. One thing to do if you decide to not use a gasket, which is what I've done, is when you RTV anything using silicone, you never want to crank it down super tight right away on the first bit, because the silicone's still soft, so you'll squeeze all of it out and then you'll have none left to seal it. Golly. So we're just gonna hit them with a speed wrench here, get them all snugged up, and once we get these done, then I'm gonna flip the motor over and let it sit on the stand. And next week I will put it in the car. So that gives it time to set up. The other thing that's important is when you do this, all of these are just barely snug. And before you finish and put the engine in the car, you'll want to go ahead and actually tighten them. So you want to let the silicone set up, then put the torque on them, get them all snugged up and tight. Then it's good to see fluid, good to see the car and run and everything. So in a pinch, you can put it together without, just cranking it down on the silicone. But what I like to do is obviously let them set up, let everything set up. That way it's good to go. So it's not super late, but it's super late for me because I've been up late the last few nights getting this stuff done. So car's ready to go back together. That's ready to go back in. I'm ready to go to bed. So I'm going to get this video edited up and posted, and for now, keep watching for good rotary content. Apologize, the last couple videos have been pretty boring, but we've broken some stuff, so we've just been having to fix it before we can get some shreds. So anyways, next week Tuesday, that goes back into there. This car runs back to running good. And then we get to work on the livery because it's going to be sick. So I got to get the vinyl ordered for that so we can wrap it up. And wapow, fresh rally car, ready for somebody to take and shred the rally roads of America. So with that, rock on, keep it rad. We'll catch you on the flip side.